Hey, blessings to you. Welcome to Director's Chair. I'm your host, Jere B. On this show, we highlight and feature independent filmmakers from our local region and from all over the globe. Here's our heart. We want to bring the director, who is usually behind the camera, to the front of the lens to share their vision. And there are now featured on today's show are two incredible filmmakers. Full disclosure, I know them both very well. I consider them friends and brothers. This is none other than Arthur Byrd of OPT Vid Films. What's going on, Art?
Hey, Jerry, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you for agreeing to sit down with me today, my friend.
Hey, no problem. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, I'm grateful. I'm sorry I stepped on you. I didn't know you were still talking. You're so
Right.
soft-spoken, Art.
Look at someone in the director's chair.
There you go. But Jim Couchenour is my brother from another mother for sure. We've written, produced some songs together, played in a band together, and he is the most creative person I know. Director among the other many hats that he wears. What's happening, Jim?
Hey, Jerry. It's good to see you. Good to be with you. And nice to be with Art, too. It's been a long time.
It's good. I know, Jim. You're an amazing dude.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
It would be wise to say that both of you are multi-talented, and so not just being directors of the particular projects that we'll talk about in a few, but you've had to be everything: producers, writers, cinematographers, editors, everything you needed to do to get the project done. Am I correct?
No, that's definitely, it is. I was thinking about that today, and it was like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. But it's like you just have to do it to get it done.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, Art, let's just go with you first. You'll hang tight with this, Jim. But Art, OPT Films, let's talk about that for a minute, because I know that stands for something pretty cool. What does OPT stand for?
It stands for other people's time, because basically you're not using, but you're honoring other people's time in making a film, whether it be the actors or the people who are helping you out. And I just thought something a little bit different. And I thought, well, it's other people's time. And so that's how that came about.
And I know that you've been in film a long time. I know that your father brought home a Super 8 film when you were a kid, and you haven't stopped, have you?
No, not really. I mean, it was very interesting because he knew that I liked filmmaking, but didn't know how to do it. And he worked on a sanitation truck for the city of Youngstown. And he one day just came, here you go. And had no instructions, no nothing. I had to go to the library to try to figure that out. And there's no internet, no nothing. And figured it out. And then I saved some money to actually, from working in the school cafeteria and my paper route, to get film for it. So
do you remember the first film that you did and how old you were?
I do, actually. I was probably about 17, and I shot our neighborhood. I went around. We have on where we lived on McGuffey, we have beautiful flowers. So I shot those. I walked up and down the neighborhood with the camera, and Super 8 had only a couple minutes in it. So I was kind of very, very efficient with it. And then the following day or the following week, I did a stop animation with one of my action figures and just moving the sword up and down. So that was kind of interesting. And one other one. I don't know if you remember color forms where you had to put the plastic on. I did a stop action Superman. I just actually found that footage. So I'll be uploading that in a little bit, but of all of that, and I'm just blown away that I can come up with that kind of thing.
Well, most people might remember you in either two places, either as an adjunct professor at YSU or behind the camera for like 21 years at WFMJ. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those experiences?
Well, I'll start off with FMJ. FMJ was what I wanted to do because I was an intern. I was a sports intern there. So I got a chance to go out and do sports. And then news. So I was in the newsroom a lot. And I just thought, wow, that's pretty amazing to go out and talk with people, be involved in our community and going out. And that's what, when I got the job, that's what it was about. Going out, the equipment was a little heavier. And so going out and really meeting people in situations that I would never see as a kid growing up on the east side of Youngstown. And it was really a rewarding experience. Then I got a chance with the station to do what they call photo essays. And so what I did with those is that you went out by it without a reporter. You couldn't talk or anything. So that made it more interesting because I had to tell a story through the camera and what anybody said through me interviewing but not hearing my voice. And that really kind of set me up for doing, like, making the transition to films. And yeah, it was a good experience. And plus, which was kind of interesting, I used 2 of those times to get films in film festivals. And at the time, I had money, but not the kind of money that would make a film. So whenever we had extra I would shoot extra footage that I knew we wouldn't need, and to make those movies. Like I did one on cheerleading, 110% to the end, and I had zero budget, and I would shoot all this extra. And the general manager, John Gerdick from WFMJ, I had a really honest relationship with him. So I went up to him and I said, I have this footage and I just edited this and I sent it in and it got in a film festival. And I know this is a little late, but do you mind if I use it? And he says, as long as you put us up in the front, that, that kind of thing, I'm fine with it. So I owe a great deal to him for allowing me to do that, because the film festival accepted it and I was on my way to Los Angeles and Cleveland.
Yeah. Wow. Well, like I said, full disclosure, I had the opportunity to fly to Los Angeles with you when you did a documentary on our band. And so that brings up another question. Which do you prefer?
Sure.
Because you do great feature and drama films, and then you do excellent, poignant documentaries. Do you favor one genre over the other?
No, not really. The scripted is more fun for me because it comes from my mind and my heart. And so to have people say my words that I wrote, it's very, very exciting, because I remember for Emotional Reload, I think you know who this is, Cornell Bogdan. Do you know?
Yes.
Do you know?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
Well, here's a very quick story. I wrote this Emotional Reload. It's about these 2 police officers. There's gun violence on the street, and they work to get the guns off the street. And all of a sudden now the gun runners want to go after them. And so what I did was, the main gun runner was a character, and I got Cornell to play a villain. Now, if you know Cornell, he's the nicest guy, sweetest guy, and to be able to turn him into a villain. And here's how I knew that I was on the right track, because you usually do a read-through with the cast. Everybody's there. Everybody has a copy of the script. And so when we got to, I was like really, really nervous when we got to his part. And he just nailed this part. He was really, I didn't even try to direct him. I just let him go. And everybody felt chills through that. I said, oh boy, if we recreate that on film or videotape, that's gonna be really good. And he did it again if anybody watches it, you'll see and know him. He was villainous. It was great.
I could see Cornell playing a villain, though. I mean, he is a super nice guy, but I could see that side of him. That's for sure.
And that was good. So it's not because right now, like doing documentaries, we're doing a podcast with a cooking show. And so someone cooking, they're all over the kitchen. I can't tell them, go over here, go over there. I have to go with the flow on them like I did in news. They have to walk out of the camera, into the camera. Then we had an overhead shot. So it is really, I like having storyboards and talking with the actors of what they're going to do and watch them do it. But when you're doing a documentary, because I did one just recently on the Sunrise Cafe in Geneva, Ohio, Geneva on the Lake, on their 30th season closing. And they were all over the place. They never had like a camera there. So I had to be inconspicuous out of the way. We capture some moments with them.
Well, you do it like the best of them. I got to tell you, I've seen
Thank
you
you.
act, seen you on set, and you mentioned emotional reload. That is the clip that you send in. Why don't you set it up for us? What are we about to see?
Well, you're going to see a scene where the one police officer is shot and he's in the hospital. And the other one is now telling him or told him that the gun runners are now coming after them. And what happened was that now his girlfriend is kidnapped and he has to go after her. They want him to come alone. Well, he's going to come alone, but they plan to kill him. And how is he going to get, she has nothing to do with this. How is he going to do that? And so what was interesting about that, because Andy and John, who are the actors, they were amazing. That's what I was looking for, was a sort of like chemistry between the two. And they listened to each other, which I think is so important with actors. And so they weren't stepping on each other's lines. They would give pause. And so this leads into a car scene. And I have to admit this, I think I only put a little bit of the car scene in there, but the car scene actually is like based on Miami Vice. If anybody remember the first Miami Vice, In the Air Tonight.
Right.
And when I wrote Emotional Reload, I said, I wanted to do a car scene like that. So I wrote the car scene and I said, okay, where's he going? He would go after if they kidnapped his girlfriend. And I just wrote from that standpoint. But when we shot it, it was crazy because we had to go up and down Market Street 8 times for the shots that we got. And I just talked to Josh Terlucky, who's the one who shot the outside shots. I was inside the car and he was outside, and he did such a great job. So my thing, I could let Miami Vice go because we got it and it looked good and it fit the story. That was the main thing. Does it fit the story?
That's fantastic. Well, we'd like to play it for our audience right now. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Excellent. Let's do it now.
It's suicidal for you to go alone.
I know that, but what other choice do I have?
You got at least one choice. Go get your vest from the equipment room. Get it.
You know if I go, they'll call the captain. Especially this time of the morning.
You have to take that chance.
Just can't risk them harming her.
What about you?
You know the situation. You know what the odds are.
Let's get better odds. Go to my apartment. My backup guns are there. Go get what you need.
That's a really interesting scene right there from the movie Emotional Reload from the director Byrd. Man, that was a real tight scene, bro.
Well, thanks. Yeah, they were good. And we shot that in the old Oak Hill Hospital. Well, and we had to move the bed. The security guard and I had to move the bed from one of the lower floors to the upper floor and then move it back when everybody left. It was interesting. But that's what you have to do when you're filmmaking. You know, you have to make it look good. And I had to go get a gown for John. All those little things. I didn't have a producer on that one. The producer, I did have one. Patty was there. And Patty, she got scenes when people see the movie, the ambulance, she got the ambulance. That's what you need if you're a filmmaker or anything. You need a really good producer who's able to get things for you, make sure you're on track. and she did that for me to do that.
It seems like you need a bunch of producers because of everything that you're involved in, Toastmasters and 3 podcasts, my friend, juggling 3 podcasts simultaneously. How do you keep that all on point?
Well, you know what? The main thing is I've made it where that all I have to do is just insert whatever we shoot. So it's never a different title. If I'm giving away any secrets, it's never a different title. It's the same one. And it's going out interviewing people like Toastmasters. All I do is for the Toastmasters podcast is I just record my speeches. Now, I used to do all this production with it, but now it's coming back in a different form where it's video. And so I'm going to try that out. That's the greatest thing about doing the podcast, or is just trying something. Excuse me. And
let me ask you one more question on that with regard to Emotional Reload.
Sure.
And that is, where can we see it, and where can we get in touch with you?
Well, the movie is on YouTube, Arthur Byrd, or ABYRD Jr. ABYRD Jr. if people are looking, and that's where some of the podcasts are too. Getting in touch with me is you can go directorboy at gmail.com, and that's probably one of the best ways to get in touch with me like if you're doing films or something like that. I'm not shooting films right now. I'm concentrating on podcasts, and then later on, a lot of the scripts that I couldn't do, that I'm making them audio stories. I'm really big in not special effects, sound effects. And when I used to work at a radio station overnight, I used to sneak into their commercial thing and get all the sound effects and write a story and do all the sound effects for that. So I'm going back a little bit of something that I really, really enjoy. I've been collecting sound effects for going to Goodwill and finding sound effects. And I'm kind of looking forward to that because I know I couldn't do these stories, and to be able to make them where people can hear them. Like, do you remember, what was it, CBS with E.G. Marshall used to come on at 12 o'clock? The CBS mystery movie or hour. But yeah, that's kind of like what I'm kind of moving towards.
That's excellent. Well, listen, sit tight. We're going to leave Boardman for a few minutes and go out to Columbiana, where my friend Jim Couchenour is soaking in the sun, right?
That's right. Beautiful night out tonight.
Absolutely. And I meant it when I said that you are the most creative person that I know. And I never know which Jim I'm talking to. Am I talking to Jim the writer, Jim the songsmith, Jim the playwright, or Jim the director? So I guess we're talking to the director tonight, man. You've been really seriously concentrating on doing films lately. How's that going?
It's going well, and it's primarily under the umbrella of the church I attend, and I'm part-time. I work part-time there now, half-time, and I'm on the video production team. But the Greenford Christian Church, and they have given us freedom to do everything from funny promo videos to pretty serious story videos that dive people's lives, and then talk about how God has brought them out of into and really kind of redemptive kinds of stories. So it's been fun.
That's excellent. We had the great opportunity to interview one of your collaborators, Josh Menning, who's doing very well with Menning Films, and you guys have been working on some projects together. Is that right?
We have. In fact, I love working with Josh because it's kind of like, if you're a tennis player and you want to get better at tennis, you play somebody that's better than you. And Josh is he's got 8 or 9 feature films under his belt, and just knows a lot about everything from coloring to mastering to directing. And so it's been a great experience working with Josh and learning from Josh.
Wow. Well, I was talking to Art Byrd earlier about whether or not he digs the documentaries over the dramas that he's known to do. You are a prolific songwriter, so I need to know. You need to tell everybody. Are you more favorable to your songwriting or your filmmaking? Because both are astounding to me. They really are.
Well, writing music, it comes so easy for me for whatever reason. God has just given me that gift, and it is just that. It's a gift. And so in terms of the quantity of material and content, music certainly, is more than the film. But there's such a powerful way to move people through both music and through film, and then if you can combine the two and have the right music with the right film, that's even more powerful. So yeah, I guess in terms of quantity, music would win out, but hopefully quality is there when we do the films as well.
Mm-hmm. So is that something that you're doing? Are you writing music for the films that you're directing as well? I mean, are you just running around with all the hats?
Just starting to get into that. The last film that Josh and I did together at Greenford Christian Church was Lay Down Your Life, and I did the score to that, and Josh, I think, added a few things, but for the most part, I wrote the music for that, and it was a interesting story. I don't know if I have time to go into it, but basically it was a little boy that was going to be giving his blood for another girl that needed his particular type of blood. And the whole time he thought he was giving his life for her, and didn't find out he was on the hospital bed that he was just giving blood. He wasn't giving his life. And yet he was willing to do that, even though he didn't, he wasn't going to. So it was a good film to open up the Easter season for our church.
And you did the music to that film?
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. But you sent in a clip today. I believe it's called Firm Foundation. You want to tell us a little bit about that? Yeah. We have an incredible worship pastor at the church, Sean Thies, and we'll record worship songs every quarter. We record worship songs to put on our online campus. And when he said he was doing Firm Foundation, I just immediately thought there could be a really interesting story video or short film that would go along with this song, because it talks about how we cannot bring ourselves out of it on our own when we're at our at our lowest point in our life. We've got to rely on God as the firm foundation. And I kept seeing this picture of the corner of a house, and it's raining and it's storming and the thunder and lightning, but that firm foundation stays intact. And so began to write, write a script that would go along with that. And so that's our next project. Is we're calling it Firm Foundation, but it's going to be hopefully a music video, but then also a standalone short film as well. Beautiful, beautiful. So you tucked away in Matthew chapter 7 then, huh?
Yeah.
That's very, very cool, Ben. Well, do you mind if we play this clip that you sent in? We'd love to see it.
That'd be fine. Yeah, it's more of a conceptual clip, and it starts off. You can kind of get the feel of the music of the film. We're really wanting to feel kind of somber and dark, so it starts off with rain and storms and things, and then it moves on to a scene where a husband and wife are fighting, and then there's a hotel where the wife goes.
And talking about editing as a director, I've had to do some editing myself because we've had some technical difficulties, which has made Jim have to go to another device. So what I was asking Jim before our little conundrum was how you would set up this film with respect to Firm Foundation.
Yeah, so the film is about a couple that's struggling, and the wife is dealing with addiction that came out of over medication for some pain she had, and essentially is ready to give up on everything, including her life. And there's a chance encounter with a hotel clerk, so that the clip that we'll see really kind of sets the stage for the mood of the film. It starts off with some rain and thunderstorms and shots of a house, and then it goes on to a couple that's fighting and a little boy in his bed that can hear them, and then it moves to a motel scene and that kind of thing. So it's more of a conceptual clip that just kind of gives you a feel for what we want to portray in the film.
Excellent. Well, we're going to put that on right now. And that's from the film short, Firm Foundation. Now, I'm hoping, Jim, that just the great people that are out at Greenford are not going to be the only ones who enjoy this film. Will it be accessible to the public?
It will. We have a YouTube channel for the church that I'm sure we'll be putting on there. We put on the previous film I mentioned, Lay Down Your Life, is on our YouTube channel. So, once we get it finished and play it at the church, then it will go on the YouTube channel, and they can feel free to access it there.
Absolutely fantastic. And I forgot to ask you one thing, because there was a time when you were doing a series of plays at the former Columbiana Main Street Theater. Are you writing any plays?
I haven't for the last 6 or 7 years. I really haven't, but those were great days. We started out at Main Street Theater doing comedy, and then moved on to more serious things and did some writing and directing with my wife Lynette, and but haven't done anything in recent years.
Wow. Well, how can people get in touch with you?
Probably the best way is just jimcochenour@gmail.com. That would be the best way at this point.
Excellent. We're going to bring Art Byrd back on, and I'm so excited again that I had the opportunity to spend this episode with the two of you, dear friends. But can you tell us real quick, Art, what's in the future for you? What do you have your hands in that we can be expecting to look out for?
Well, basically the podcast. Well, we just did the cooking podcast, and that's for season 1, and we'll see how that goes. But also, like I said, I'm really excited about doing the audio stories and putting in sound effects and taking my old scripts. I've been kind of going through my old scripts, and I was like, these are pretty good. Sometimes I've been writing again, which is, I haven't done that in a while. And so more writing. And I don't think that I'll be doing any more films with the actors for a while. It takes a lot to put all of that together, as Josh and Jim and James Ford and a lot of other people know. And that's kind of right now, that's basically working on the podcast and the audio stories and seeing where they're going to go.
Excellent. Well, your footprint is very, very large in the local film and regional film world. So thank you for your contribution, and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We do appreciate you. And so, Jim, with respect to Firm Foundation, are there some other projects that we should be looking out for from you?
Yeah, we one of the things we do routinely at Greenford is what we call story videos, and it's where we interview somebody and they just tell us about their story. And there have been some incredible things that have come from those. I just finished a story video on a guy that used to be a professional wrestler. His name was the Milwaukee Mauler, and his real name is Tom Kerr. But to hear his story and where he's come from and where he is today. And those will be on YouTube as well, and of course in the service. If you happen to come to Greenford Christian Church for a church service, we play those in the services as well. So those are, yeah.
So what is that? An invitation? Is that an invitation for us to come?
I think you in particular.
Absolutely. Absolutely, will do. Well, thank you so much, Jim Couchenour, Arthur Byrd, OPT Films. I love you guys like brothers. I'm so grateful to have spent this time with you. We'll see you again real soon, okay,
You too,
fellas?
Jay.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
Jerry.
Absolutely. That's it for this edition of Director's Chair, and thank you for joining us once again to our great filmmakers, Arthur Byrd, OPT, Vid Films, and Jim Couchenour. They are making movies in our valley, telling stories for the world. If you like what you see, make sure that you support them. Go to their YouTube channel, spread the word about their works, and let's just keep this film legacy in the valley alive. I'm Jere B. We will see you next time on Director's Chair. God bless.